So everybody thinks you can twin turbo an F150 for around 10 grand. Let me show you what it actually costs. Okay, so first is obviously getting the vehicle. They're looking in, it's not a cheap fix. You guys are looking into a $50,000-$60,000 truck already. You want to buy a brand new one so you ain't got to worry about no issues of some previous owner doing it. So that's one of the main things. Getting the truck, $50,000 to $60,000, that's a start. So the main thing that we're going to be talking about is, for one, what is the price of a kit? What it includes, what it doesn't include. So there's a few different brands. There's Basie, there's another one that I can't think of off the top of my head. There's On3, and obviously the one that I got on my truck. We got Midnight, if you guys want to come take a look. And then obviously the turbos and all the other shit we'll get into in just a moment. But one of the main things that we're getting into is the price of the kit itself. So I got a deal on mine, so I'm not going to tell you guys that one, obviously, because that isn't always come across, and it's not accessible to everybody, So one of the main things is a base kit from Midnight without turbos and wastegates. You're probably looking roughly around $9,500 to 10 grand, and that's after shipping, taxes, all that other good stuff. When we talk about getting into turbos, I mean, these are VS Racing turbos. I'm one of their sponsors, so I get a cheaper discount. So I got a pair of wastegates from them. I got a set of 62 dual ball bearing turbos. There's many other options, but this is one of the cheaper options that was, obviously in my budget range to go for. So roughly between turbos and wastegates, depending on what brands you go with, you could be spending anywhere from, with the turbo kit, probably around $10,000 to $15,000. Because like I said, the turbos and wastegates do not come with the turbo kit. And then other miscellaneous things, as in the manifold. I stuck with the stock manifold as of right now. Other than that, there's a few other things you guys can go with, as in Boss manifolds that you have to change on the 24, 25s. You have to change any of these plates. There's other ways around it, but I'm not too worried about that right now. Point number 3, the hidden pit where the money actually goes. Because obviously the turbo kit is a lot of the expensive part. The other one is, you guys can see right here, this is a triple pump Ford fuel system from Ford directly. We're running the triple pumps, like I said. I think they're 285s, don't quote me on that, or 284s, triple 284s. We're running third on a hot switch, but we're not getting into that right now. But yeah, so the fuel pump is one of the more expensive parts. You guys are thinking triple pump system. The starting kit for that is around $3,500. Injectors, you're looking anything from 1050 to 1300 cc's. Depending on what brand you go with, you're probably looking about $1,000 to $1,500 to the $2,000 range. And I'm trying to think of other things as well. When it comes to like miscellaneous fittings, we ran into a bunch of problems with a lot of the fuel stuff. Ford has really great kits, yes. It was plug and play, but a lot of it did not come with a lot of the parts that was missing. So, it's a 25 truck. We never expect everything to come 100%, which I completely understand. There's no problem with that. But the only other thing, like I said, was some fittings failed. That wasn't the builder's fault. There was some minor tweaks we had to do with the fuel rails and other things, but for the most part, yes, he has a great kit. He included a lot of the things we needed, but we still needed excess lines. So when you're buying the kit, you're probably looking at an extra $500 to another $1,000 on extra fittings, because you're going to need a bunch of extra shit you're not going to think that you actually need. So roughly, I say about $4,500 to be safe on top of everything else you need, but that's not including everything else. So that's the fuel system part. So one of the main important parts, this is not going to be a long process. It's pretty simple. 2 things you need, obviously, when you go boost. You're going to need a tuning device, and you're going to need a boost controller. I went with something simple. It goes from anywhere. They start at $700 to like $2,000, depending on if you go boost leash, AMS. Cortex is around $800. I went with the Turbo Smart E-Boost 3. So far we haven't had any problems. Hooking it up is kind of a pain, but they helped me with that process. So we'll come take a look and we'll show you guys just a little simple of how this works. But you guys can see a Lund tuning device. You're probably looking about roughly upwards of $1,000. So that's $1,000 to start off. This device right here was around $700. You can control boost, rate, you can have different control settings, you can get more physical into it, but we're not going to get into that. And then obviously the custom mount, so roughly you're looking around almost $2,000 just in your boost controller, your tuning, and then depending on what route you wanted to go, if that was dyno tuning or street tuning. We street tune it, so okay, so this other thing that we're going to be getting into adds up pretty quick as well. So obviously when you get the turbo kit on, you're going to need an exhaust, you're going to need fab work. How much does it cost to initially put this full kit in? Turbo kit itself, I had someone I know dearly help me, so I mean I got to help, and we kicked them a little cash on the side. So you're looking to range from anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 depending on who you have installed the turbo kit alone. The main thing is you have these going back down past the firewall where the stock exhaust used to be. It's dumped. You're going to need an exhaust. So you could do dumps. I didn't like the way it sounded, so that is another route you guys can go. My custom exhaust, my boy did it locally. I'm going to drop his tag right there. Another thing is, he did great work. You know, we're not going to get too crazy into that, but we had a Y pipe welded onto these down pipes, put into my Corsa exhaust that we have. The Corsa, you're looking at about $1,000, including the labor work to have the exhaust put on, probably around another $1,000. I got hooked up on it, so roughly, I mean, that's what you're looking about for about a custom exhaust nowadays usually. So that's the fab work and how much it costs just for the turbo kit itself install. So the main thing of all, we're going to talk about supporting mods that you need when you install a turbo kit. I haven't had any problems with my stock brakes. They work great. As you guys can see, this car's on stock suspension, stock brakes, stock tires, and stock rims. Once when you go up to a certain PSI, obviously, depending on what state you're in, it's 40 degrees here, and this thing hooks right up on 10, 12. Otherwise, I recommend myself. One is catch cans. That is one of the things I would for sure get. You're going to want to let that motor breathe. So that's a supporting mod. Two, you're going to want to get a transmission cooler. These transmissions, 1080s, they like to run stock temps around 200 degrees. That's how you cook the fluid, and those discs are going to be gone. So I have one, roughly you're looking about $400, depending on what the install line's, probably around $500–600. That's your supporting mods that I have on mine, so that's what you're looking at. So another thing is, you're looking, probably the least expensive is not that bad. You're looking at oil. I run AMS oil about $550. You're looking about $130. You know, average if you're on E85 about $120 to $130 each. You know, every 3,000 to 4,000 miles, depending on how you guys want to do it and how you beat on the car. Two, spark plugs. They're not too bad. You're looking roughly about $80 to $100 for all the colder spark plugs that you need for your specific turbo kit. And coolant, you know, obviously when you drain the system out, you could run, I forgot what it's called, you guys probably know what I'm talking about, so quote me on if I'm saying it wrong, but you can add something that'll help keep your coolant cool.
What, water wet?
Yeah, water wetter. That's exactly what it is. So otherwise, I don't have that in mind. I'm going to run that eventually. Otherwise, I mean, that's basically about it. There's one more thing. Truck, turbos, fuel, tune, labor, supporting mods. The total of that will get you guys right now. So with everything, I think we have a rough estimate number. You're looking about $17,000. You know, obviously that was my cost. If you guys end up doing it, you're probably looking roughly around the $20,000 to $25,000 range. So if you guys are looking for it, like I said, there might be cheaper options. You know, cheaper options aren't always the best. Like I said, there's other options like On3, Basie. You know, you got to look at the longevity. I don't know too much about those kits, so I can't say anything about them. But hopefully this gave you guys a little, you know, helpful tips on exactly how much it costs and like a real legit breakdown that's not bullshitting you guys and letting you guys know the truth about what it is to actually build one of these cars. But hopefully that helps. Boosted County, make sure you guys subscribe.
Please, the rogues got slaps.
Thank you.